We wear on our name tag, and we practice a policy here at Royal Caribbean called Save the Waves. Every crew member is trained, and from the captain on down to the newest hire that's never worked on a ship before, about our basic policy of never throwing anything overboard. We train the crew about it being both a safety and an environmental hazard. Today we were able to take a behind-the-scenes tour and visit a lot of the environmental management areas in our engine spaces. We started in the control room, and in the control room we're able to see the engineer on watch is staffed 24/7, and that's the person who's able to control the incinerators on board, the oily water separators, in addition to the engines and all the engine equipment and the safety equipment associated with that. Then we moved on over to our incinerator room, and the first floor of that is our waste management center, where we're able to have the crew members who bring all the garbage down from throughout the ship sort down the recyclables, the items that can be burned in the incinerator. But the recyclables are our aluminum cans, our steel cans, our glass, our used cooking oil. We're able to puncture our aerosol cans and remove the gas before we land those as waste. We're able to crush fluorescent bulbs, and we're able to store all this in a cold room, the aluminum cans, the steel cans. That way we don't have to worry about bacteria or smell, and that can be landed as a recycling later on. We've toured down through the incinerator, the different stages of our incinerator, down to the bottom, the tank top level, where we actually have the incineration of some of those wastes that just cannot be landed to be recycled. We continued on from there, and we went through the main engine rooms. That's where the engines fire up the generators, which are able to send the power throughout the ship, including propulsion. That's why we talked about propulsion earlier and some of the savings we can make there, because 60% of our electricity generated on board does go to propulsion. We traveled from there into a room that has our oily water separators. That's where we separate all the bilge water that's pumped up on board. For safety reasons, we collect the bilge water every night, and we run it through our oily water separators. They're called marine flock units, and that separates it down to the 5 parts per million. And when we're 12 nautical miles from land, going at least 6 knots, should we need to discharge the clean bilge tank, we're able to discharge the clean bilge water, and it goes through another monitor that makes sure once and for all that it's less than 5 parts per million oil. From there we traveled into the compartment that contains our advanced wastewater purification. It's at this area that all the gray water, that's the water from the sinks, the showers, the laundry, the galley, and even from Central Park, all that water is mixed together with the water from the sewage system, the black water, and we're able to first go through a screening unit where we screen out the plastics. Then we introduce the screened water into our biotanks, our bioreactors, where we're able to have the organic material in our bioreactors start to break down the solids even more and start to break down the matter. And it goes from there into a dissolved oxygen flotation tank. And what happens there is that polymer has been added, and it's gone through a flocculating tubes, and tiny bubbles come up, and that was the clear water we saw going over the edge. That's where we have a further degree of separation of the solids and the matter that can't be discharged. Will go back and go through the unit again, or will eventually be incinerated. From there it goes through a micro polishing filter of 20 microns. The water then is going to be ready for discharge, but we want to make sure there's no bacteria and no viruses. So it goes into a UV treatment unit. At the time we're going at least 12 nautical miles from shore, moving at least 6 knots, and we need to discharge that water. It will go through the UV filter, and that will neutralize the bacteria. It doesn't actually kill everything, but it neutralizes the DNA in the bacteria, so there can be no more reproduction. Same thing with the viruses, and that water is discharged overboard. It's not used ever again as technical water or anything.